So I realized I haven't done an update video in like 10 months or something. The last video I did was whenever I was chopping the front bumper off this thing. So I figured I'd do a quick update. This is a 76 CJ5 304 V8 T150 transmission, Dana 20 transfer case, AMC 20 rear axle, Dana 30 front axle. It was all the way down to just the rolling frame. At one point, I pressure washed everything, scrubbed everything down, repainted the frame, rebuilt the transmission, transfer case, and rear axle, replaced the leaf springs, the shocks. I did repaint the body. I'm not a very good bodywork guy, so this is a 100-foot paint job. If you get up close to this, you can see where I did Bondo work. You can see where some of the stuff was definitely hand painted. You have to excuse the kids, they're out there playing on the surplus trailer that is now my new project. So the only things that weren't touched on this Jeep were the engine with the 304. Still ran good, still had good compression, so I just left it. And the front axle, I pulled apart the front axle. Everything looked good and clean in there. It's not leaking, so I decided just to leave that alone. The transmission would, whenever I first bought it, would have popped out of first gear on acceleration. I rebuilt the transmission, and I probably should have just replaced the entire first gear synchro, because whenever you decelerate, it'll still pop out of first gear, but it won't pop out of first gear on acceleration anymore. So I guess that's an improvement. Transfer case was leaking from everywhere and had a ton of play in the rear output and front output shafts, so I went ahead and rebuilt it. The rear axle, whenever I was rebuilding, or whenever I was taking it apart, it needed a new pinion seal. I could not get the pinion yoke off, so I literally had to cut notches in the pinion yoke and use a cold chisel and a sledgehammer to split the yoke off. It was rust seized to the pinion. In the process of doing that, I messed up the threads on the pinion, so the pinion nut would not thread on anymore. So I went ahead and rebuilt the rear axle. That's the first axle and gear set I've ever done. I was successful. It doesn't make any weird noises and hasn't locked up on me yet, so we'll see how that goes. The front, the original front bumper that was all welded together and cobbled together and had a welder, I cut all that off. I actually injured myself in that, which is one of the reasons why I haven't done an update video in so long. About 30 minutes after making the video about the front bumper, a grinder got away from me and fell on my leg and put a 12-inch laceration in my shin. So the majority of the rebuild work was done while I was wearing a space boot. I completed the rebuild, I think, around November time frame. That's whenever I actually got it drivable and moving down the road. And ever since then, it's just been little bits and bobs here and there. I'll go ahead and pop the hood here. So the underhood area here, pretty much I didn't really mess with a whole lot. I did pull the valve covers because they were leaking and replace those. The power steering pump is a new power steering pump. New water pump. The alternator is still good and still kicking along, and this Mallory HEI style ignition that one of the previous owners put in, I went ahead and left that. Let's see, what else? The brake system basically had to be rebuilt, everything except for the metal lines. So it's got a new brake master cylinder, new wheel cylinders, new hardware, new shoes, all that jazz. I did keep the original drum brakes. I did not replace them with disc brakes. Both front and rear. This had the factory. I believe they were 11-inch drums. They actually stopped the Jeep really, really well. This is only a 2,500-pound vehicle or so. So it actually, the drum brakes work fairly well with it. I had a factory super top on it whenever I bought it. I still have that top. I have taken it off for the summertime. So all I'm running right now is a best top bikini top. And that comes off every once in a while. Pretty much run it without the doors on it during the summertime. And then I've got a back seat that I bolt in when I need the back seat for the kids. For the most part, though, the back seat's not in it. I kind of use it as a little pickup truck for hauling stuff and animal feed, hay, stuff like that, running back and forth to work. I did, instead of trying to get the factory speedometer, which is still in it, trying to get all those gauges in that to work, I just went with autometer, auto gauge gauges, including a tachometer over here. And then I added that power outlet, USB 12-volt power outlet, RAM mount on the dash, and a Motorola Radius M1225 for communications. I don't have a stereo in here. I didn't really see the point in it. It's so loud you wouldn't really be able to hear anything with it. So what I have done is, let's see, there we go. That is a portable aircraft intercom, and I have headsets. There's one of them over there. So my headset has a little Bluetooth box attached to it, which is plugged into the headset. That's how I listen to music when going down the road. At highway speeds, I wear that headset. I want to protect what hearing I have left. So I do wear like an aircraft style headset whenever I'm driving on the highways. If I'm just putting around in town at 45 miles an hour, so I really don't worry about it. The heat does kind of work. The blower works. I've got all the ducting and stuff in place. And it was actually able to keep me warm during the snowmageddon we had here in Texas. Surprisingly, even with no insulation and no carpet in this Jeep. Not going to bother putting carpet in it. It's not a weather-tight vehicle by any means. And I really don't feel like having a sponge laying on my floorboard. Rusting the floorboards out again, especially after I cut them out and welded new ones in. Let's see if I can get us under vehicle shots here. So it does have a new Tom Woods front drive shaft. The original drive shaft, the slip yoke was so worn out you could grab it and move it about an inch in every direction. The rear drive shaft is the factory, or the original one that was on here. I don't know if it's truly original, but it's original to me. All I did was put new U-joints in it and put it back in. I don't know if you can see the transfer case. That's been rebuilt. And the transmission there, probably kind of hard to see. That's been rebuilt as well. And then new suspension components all around, including some fancy schmancy old man emu shocks. Well, that's the update for now. This will be the first video I've uploaded to my channel in the better part of a year. Oh, another thing. These are 31-inch Achilles Desert Hawk XMTs. I'm going to be going to a more stock size. I'm going to be going to a more stock size tire. This is the same brand and type of tire. It's just, instead of being on a 15x8, it's on a 15x7, and it's a 235/75 R15. Those tires will be going under it as soon as Quadratec fixes their mess up. They sent me one oddball sized wheel. They sent me one 15x8 with the wrong offset and wrong back spacing, and 3 of the correct ones. So once that gets fixed, it'll have those smaller wheels on there, smaller tires. Anyway, there's the update for now. You guys have a good day.